Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Kim here, and this is part four of the series working in a hardcover book to create a junk journal. And we at the end of part three, I hope I haven't overwhelmed you too much with rebuilding your pages, your signature pages. But I've done mine for the first book, and I'm going to show you that. And then I'm going to show you also how we're going to do things in the books that we only cut the pages out. We didn't dissect the whole book because there's a totally different method. Actually, there's two different methods for doing those that I'm going to have to show you. But so the first book that I had, or I have here, is this red one that is 8.5 by approximately 12, I think. It's very close to 12, so just shy of 12. And so this book, I told you that I was going to do the pages about 11.5 by 8, so that they will fit within the edges of the book, and still allow a little bit of overlap so that they don't come outside of the book cover itself. So I'm going to put the book cover aside, and I've got my glue pages here, but I'll put that aside for a second too. So I started out, the first page I did, I showed you, was where I added the blue sheet, and it was short on the page. And I did the tape, with the paper tape, or, faux washi, however you want to call it. So I did that on the side, and then I added that extra piece of coffee dyed paper. Now, this paper is very brittle. I hadn't realized it at the time, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of a patch job there because I have a hole in it. But I will fix that up when I start decorating the book. And in order to be able to make the fold work nicely, I cut this edge on a slant so it wouldn't cut too tight into the page, because this is where we stitch our signature is in here. I know this is not easy to see because the book is so big, but that is the first page. Now, in order to do that little fold first on the paper, I did lose some of the page, about 1/2 of an inch, and that's okay because these pages are from the book and they are a little bit sturdier. So they will be fine if they're sticking out a little bit more than the other pages are. But again, they must fit within the book, so that when we put the signature in, they're not going to be extending past the edge of the book. So you may have to come back and cut some of those off before we actually put the book together. When you're putting your signatures together and you see how they fit in the book, you may have to adjust it by doing a little trim job. So that was the first page I did. And then I had started, I think, to show you the second page, or maybe I didn't. So the second page was this one here. And I added on a piece of ledger, but the ledger was also too short. You can see it from up here. It was too short, so I added a little bit of music sheet on top, did a patch job, did the strip down the center, and so now my two pages are together. I didn't put anything on the outside because the ledger paper folds over, and I thought, I may go back and put some decorative washi tape along here, or something decorative. Actually, I could do it right now. Although before I put the book together, I will check to make sure that the washi tape has stuck down okay. So that's all I'm doing, is adding a little bit of decorative tape to that edge of the signature, because the ledger paper is quite heavy. I don't think I have to worry about it tearing or anything. It's just to make this look a little bit nicer, to finish the edge with the washi tape. As far as the inside, I did do the inside, so it's taped there. So it's got technically two layers. It's got the outside layer wrapped around the page, and then the inside layer bonding the two pages together. The other page I did was the outside jacket itself, just folded it up into a page that will fit in the book, and you saw me trim that down. So I'm just going to put all the pages together and just show you the different ones that I've done. This was that scroll paper, and I attached it to a page by folding it over. What's nice about this was the scroll gave a nice decorative edge on this side here. This page is also short, but I've decided to leave it like that. Not all your pages have to be the same size. Again, it is shorter than, or narrower than the actual book page, but it is a heavier book page, so that'll be fine. And I can always add some trim or border or something on there afterwards, as well as along the bottom. I thought this was such a nice piece that perhaps when I've got the book all put together, I could put like a piece of lace or something as trim along the bottom. So these are options that you want to consider when you're putting the page together. The other thing that I really liked on this 2 pages was that I had this pattern here, and I told you I was just going to cover the words with washi tape, and then I covered it before I actually even had a chance to show you. And if you don't have washi tape, you can use faux washi. So here's one of the words here. I'll just hold it up for you to see. There. And I'm just going to take a piece of washi tape and cover over top of it. Now, again, I may have to go back and glue this down if I find it lifting, because washi tape and I don't get along super well. But that just shows you how you can cover things up. Like this other writing up here, I could use a wider band. You know, I can use some spot elements. And then that turns this page into a possible writing page because it's got the lines built in. You can put a picture up here. And same with here, it gives you the opportunity to write on the page. So when you're putting your pages together, look at how you can put them together and what their uses are going to be for. And you know, sometimes you'd be surprised at how you come up with some strange ideas. And that's why I love doing this style of book, because you really have to think outside the book and come up with different ideas of how you're going to finish it. Like I love this trim along the edge because of the fold of the page. And then it was just very complimentary to this picture along the side here. I've got a nice little element here that's built right in the page, so it doesn't take up any more space. I've got some journaling space here and the possibility of covering this with something else, either something to write on. I could even extend that onto this part of the page and have it go down to just maybe the flowers, or it's something I can play with as I go along. And then this is quite decorative for journaling on. So I'm getting a lot of journaling space here. I've got that full side, this side, almost all of this, and some possibilities on this side. So there's really a lot going on this one set. This next one, I use the certificate paper, and this time I folded it this way. Again, I just thought, let's add some interest into this. I've got the music sheet. I used a strip of that to be the washi or the binding for the 2 pages. It was also folded over onto the side of the page so that it's got the glued onto that part, and then it's got the faux washi inside. So there's double gluing on this page to hold it in. And because the page was wider, I folded this in. This makes it smaller than this page, so we know that it's going to fit within the journal cover. And it allows me to have a tuck spot. It also allows me to add more page onto this on the inside. So lots of possibilities. I can put an envelope there. Lots of fun things. And then this one here is a full-size page again. I used the graph paper. The graph paper was just a smidgen short, so I'm not going to worry about it. Again, any pages that are short are going to be protected, and the book pages themselves are hard enough to and hardy enough to hold very nicely together. And that looks so cute. This gives me lots of possibilities again for adding some washi tape or some kind of decorative tape. So I'm just going to put one on here right now. I've got this green handy. I pulled all these things out for you to see. And the only reason I'm doing this is I have a ton of washi tape and I don't like it. I want to get it used up. So this is a perfect opportunity. I'm hoping that I can get rid of a couple of rolls doing these books. But what a difference that made, just running it along the edge of that graph paper. The graph paper has protected it by, I've glued it on the fold. And so then on the inside, I can open it up again and you see that I've put in a patch on the inside, so it's glued from both sides using the fold of the graph paper, but also a folded paper inside. So when I'm doing these, I glue them in, I let them dry, and then I take my ruler up to the edge of the page where I know the page is going to be. Now I see I've got one little spot here that I'm going to have to touch up the glue, but that's okay. These are things that you find as you go along. And I just gently folded back along that fold until I could feel the fold that I had originally made, and then I use a bone folder or any kind of tool that you have handy, scissors, glue caps. Geez, if I got a glue cap, that means there's a bottle of glue somewhere here without a lid. Hopefully I find it. So there is my page there, and how I used it. This allows me to have this decorative page. Some possibilities of changing that on the inside, a totally blank page there from the graph paper and the graph paper itself. Now, something that I also should mention is that if it gets to the point where all of my decorative pages are on the outside, I can also open this up and refold it. It just takes a little bit of work. You might have some glue lifting, but I can refold it the other way so that the pages now are in reverse. So I would have the paper page on the outside and the book on the other side. It doesn't really matter either way. You know, it depends on what you like. This is kind of a nice cover on each page to add back into your book. It just depends on how it feels as far as the bulk. If it feels too bulky to have all the pages on these pages on one side of your book, because that's how they're going to end up. They're going to be the more decorative ones on that side and the more journaling type on this side, with exception only to whatever you use to create journaling space on the back side of your pictures. So you want to try and reverse a few of them. It's probably a good idea to do it right from the start, do it the opposite way. So, you know, every second or third page, flip it around the other way and make sure that this ends up on the back side. So that your book opens this way instead of this way. And then this way the pages will be equally spaced and you won't have the pictures all on one side of the book and your blank pages on the other. So there is a little thinking to do here. You got to keep that in mind. And if you do have to fold a couple pages over, it's not the end of the world. If your glue comes undone, you can certainly re-glue it. And it's just a matter of easing it back the other direction. See, I'm already lifting this, so I'm going to have to go back with my wet glue and glue that down a little bit better. But that's because I'm playing and pulling against it. And inside here too, you know, it's, once you've got everything in shape, you can go back with your wet glue and tuck and adjust wherever possible. You can also stitch along here. If you have your sewing machine, you can stitch your pages down and make sure that they are secure. This is all part of the spine, so it's all going to be hidden into the spine area anyway in your book. This next page I did, now do you remember the library card? This time I did the paper on this side and I did the page on this side. The paper was thick enough itself again to fold over and be secure. So once I folded the paper over, I then covered it with some washi tape because it matched nicely. And then on the inside, I put washi tape because I didn't feel I needed to put any more in here to reinforce it. I felt that the page itself was strong enough to hold it in place and look good. So now I've got this picture on the reverse side. I've got my paper on this side. So when I've got a page like this that opens this way, the next thing you're going to see is a page like this. And then when you get to the other side of the book, you're going to see this glossy page, but the next page you're going to see is a blank page. So that's why you want to try and reverse your pictures as much as possible. Now again, with this one, it's a little shy on either side, but this time, instead of going to the top of the page, I brought it down to the bottom of the page so that they are staggered back and forth, but it will be equally as nice and balanced in the end. Now this next one, I did the book page on this side, and I used the full size double page of the scribbler. You can see the holes here. I will do some repairs to that later on. I folded quite a large piece over on this side so that it will have a little bit of writing space already built in. Although I don't know how much access I'll get to it, because once this is in your signature, you do tend to lose that part of your book anyway. But it's just a good start, and then I can add other things on top of here as well. Because this is one of the book pages, it can become a decorative page instead of a journaling page if you want it to. And a pretty napkin glued over top of this would look really nice with the writing coming through. So that's a possibility for decorating. And we will have a session on decorating, of course, as we get later down the road. So when you open it up, again, I've got some stuff here that I can cover, I can create on, add pictures. And then I've got this double fold spread of this scribbler paper. I will cover the holes, maybe put something else decorative in there. That will also reinforce that fold because it does have 2 holes in it. But I wanted it to fold up and just give me twice the power of writing space. If I put something decorative here, that also allows me to have a full page here to work with and a full page here that is separate. So I could start writing here and continue writing down there and have something decorative in the middle. You know, once there's something put down here, there's all kinds of possibilities of pockets, tucks, belly bands, you name it. So then it folds up, and it folds up within the page. Well, this one actually is just a smidgen in. Normally, I like to put them in a little bit more than that, and I will explain that in the next one. But hopefully this one will work, and I won't have to try and refold it and trim it down. So this next one, I used the scrapbook paper. Again, I put the paper on this side and the book pages on that side. So I'm alternating. But this time, when I put it down, I left quite a large space on this side, and I glued it first. I just put a line of glue there, and then I went back on my sewing machine and stitched it. And the reason for that is I'm hoping that on this page here, I can decide to turn this into a tuck because it is so stitched. I don't have to worry about gluing it any further. So I can glue on the sides here, or I can cut this on an angle and just use it as a tuck spot in the book. Or I can extend another page onto here to create even more interest and folds and stuff within the page. So lots of possibilities with having this overhang. I could have kept it and just used a small little piece to fold over, and then I'd have some element paper to use within the book. But I just found that it was nice enough that wherever it is in the book, this is going to be on the first half no matter where it is, and this will definitely be on the second half no matter where it is in the book. So it is extended into 2 spots. This next one has this beautiful image. Oh, I love this image. And I used the brown paper bag. Now I made a fold for the brown paper to glue the page down. On the inside, I used some music sheet to reinforce it. So this page is very secure. I left this page long, and I'm not going to fold it until I see where this sits in the signature, and which is why I left myself a little shy on that other piece there by folding it right on the line. The reason for that is as you add more pages into your book, one over the top of the other, the outside pages get a little bit shorter, but the inside pages are longer because they're being pushed out by the signature edge, or this part of the book. So they slowly get pushed out. So your inner pages should even be just maybe a quarter of an inch shorter than the outside pages. And that's why I say wait until you've got your pages all done and put together in the order that you want them to be before you make any folds or any cuts. Because you may be able to just take this margin off, and then that's fine for this page. And then that just means folding your secondary page over a little bit more to make a tuck, or folding it outwards to make a tuck. Either way, I would wait until the signature is put together in exactly the order you want it to be before you adjust those pages, because then you can just pull it out, cut it, and put it back in. Does that make sense? I hope so. So the same with this next page. This time I put it on the back, so it's over here. This is the front part of the page, so this will get tucked in somewhere in the front side of the book. And this will also have to either blend that way or that way. This bag conveniently had this little thumb notch or whatever notch in it. So however I put this, whether I fold it out and have it as a tuck that way, or if I fold it in and have it as a tuck that way. So again, I'm going to wait to do any folding or any cutting based on how the page sits in the book, depending on where I put it. But this gives me, it's a beautiful picture here that will be next to a blank picture somewhere. And then the inside, I've got this beautiful little element here and lots of possibilities to do things. So I could add an envelope here. I could add a layered notepad, an overhanging tag. There's so many possibilities. Add a picture and still have a little bit of journaling space to play with. And this is where I might take a ruler and a pencil and draw in some small lines to indicate that that's a place to write. This next one is again done the opposite way, or the right way, I guess. So the book page is over here. Lots of possibilities for embellishing there. A cute little image. I hope I've been in camera all this time. A cute little image for you to use as an element in the book, and space to journal, as well as more space to cover up things. I love this line right here. There's a word beadwork there that can be covered up with a stamp or a sticker, and that just leaves you a place to title on your page. Can you see that? Yeah, I think so. To create a title on the page. This page is blank, but it has the scrapbook on the back. Not sure what I want to do here yet, so I left it so that I can decide whether I fold it in and create a folded page that I can use as a tuck, or whether I cut it off completely. Again, I'll wait till the signature is all put together and decide. This next one, book page on the outside, depending on how many I have, I may have to redo that. Reinforced on the inside. The ledger page is a little shorter. Did this one from the bottom. And then I've just, it was folded already. Excuse me. It was folded already, but I may adjust it if need be. I think it's a little short. Perfect, yes. So I don't have to worry about it extending past the paper or extending past where I might have to cut it, if I have to cut it. And lots of room to make a tuck, or again, this is a perfect, it's a really nice size weight that if you wanted to add something on and extend the page even further into the book, you can, because it's a good weight. This next one here, I used 2 sheets of that paper. This is that children's exercise book paper. Now, the way I glued it, I covered up a lot of writing up here, and then I didn't want to cover up this picture because that was a picture I really liked. So I figured I'll just have a little bit of journaling space on this side, And then I can either collage. I like all of the elements that are on here, so maybe a little bit of collage, you know, or even a paper napkin to go over top. This is one of the decorative pages, even though it doesn't look that decorative. It is one of the decorative pages, so I can play on here visually instead of using it as a journal page. But this is very, very thin paper, so I did overlap them. And I do have to glue that down. I just wanted to show you how I did this. If it were thicker paper, I might be inclined to leave it as 2 individual pages, but it's so thin, I would worry about it tearing very easily in the book. There is a little bit left over on the bottom here that I will cut off on the page because it's too thin, or I could fold it up. I haven't reinforced down the center yet. But I could fold it up. I just left this for you to see first before I started making changes to it. And same with over here. Because these pages are so thin, I will probably do a little fold in here to give it a little bit of extra strength on the outside edge of the page for when you're flipping it. And if I do glue these 2 pages down together, I can trim that away if I want, and then glue them both folded together at the same time, so they become one unit and gives it extra strength, if that makes sense. And so that's the back side of that one. Or because I haven't gone very far, and depending on what I need as far as a book page, I could fold it back the other way instead and then reinforce it on the outside. So I have some options there with this one because I haven't gone very far, and it'll certainly be easy to do the folded paper tape if it's not done yet, and I want to change it around. Okay, this last one, and this is the last page that's going in my journal, and this one I realized that if I make the fold here, I really wanted to see the sunflower on the outside. So it's going to be here. But I realized that there would be a chance I'd have to cut it off. There was also a chance that I would lose the sunflower. So I decided to leave it the full length. And this one I put some ledger paper on the inside to reinforce it. I just have to do the same with the bottom. And so all I did, I just glued it directly onto it goes this way. I'm gluing it directly onto the page so that I don't lose any of the page on either side. And this one will be shorter, and that's okay because it will fold right into the page. And again, you won't notice that as long as it's reinforced. So as long as it's reinforced, and the fact that it extends past that page allows me to fold that sunflower in so I don't lose the sunflower. And I think that's just nice, a really nice decorative element on this page, and a possible tuck. Or again, I can extend the page even more by adding stuff onto it. But I think I would just leave it as a tuck. In fact, I'm just going to do it. I like it like this. So I'm just going to do that right now. So I will add this on the bottom to finish reinforcing the page on this side. And then on this side, I will probably use something decorative so I don't lose much of the yellow. I could, again, collage a napkin over top of both sides. But I wouldn't want to put too much on this yellow because I do want to be able to use it for journaling paper. So when it's folded, it would be folded like this within the book. So whatever page is here will show beyond this one, sort of. So that's it for my pages for here. And then I thought, you know, we have to go back to the other style of book where we cut the pages out. Now I have 2 books that I cut the pages out of. If you remember, this book had so many nice things at the end of the book where this is that ribbon and it shows you how to make ribbon flowers. And so I didn't want to lose any of those pages because the instructions are all there, and I thought maybe I could incorporate that into the book. And so I cut everything out at this end. So that's really all the space I have to work with, is about, you know, I don't know if you can see that or not. It's not very much. It's about 1/4 of an inch thick. Okay. Now the other book that I did like that was the Of the Sea book. Now this one I did, you know, I kept one page and cut out the next batch of pages. And so you have these splits in the middle, and your first thought probably is, oh wow, well, we're not taking apart the spine, so all I have to do is glue a few pages back into the book in those places. Sounds really good, but doesn't work that way. You have to be a little bit more inventive. You cannot add much at this level. You can, but not many, because you have not changed this book. The pages are still all there at this spot where you would think that you could just glue the pages back in, right? But what's going to happen is this is going to start expanding, and it'll have nowhere to go. That's the same with this book. There's nowhere for the pages to go. I have to do something that doesn't use this, but I can still have that amount of thickness in here. So because this is the ribbon one's a little bit more complicated, I'm going to do it offline, and then I will show you the results after. But what I'm going to most likely do is I'm going to pull out this one end paper so that it's completely opened up to these spaces here. And what I will have to do is I will have to create a book here that is not as wide, so that it doesn't interfere with this space. Does that make sense? Yeah, I think I have to show you that one. I'm sure lots of you do understand that, but I just if this page wasn't there, in fact, I'm just going to cut it out now. I know I don't have a cardboard to cut underneath it, so I'm just going to slide my ruler in here and hope that works. Okay, it's not too bad. I can probably just trim that out now with my scissors. Okay, so now I have the full space that's in between the book cover and all the pages that I cut out. It's about 1/4 of an inch. So I have to build something on the inside of this cover that doesn't go past where we've cut. Otherwise, the book is going to expand. So that's the amount of room that I have to work with. So what I will probably do is make a smaller book that will fit no further than that. So it will be approximately about 6-7 inches. I would say 6.5 inches would be as far as I would make it. So about 6.5 inches wide, and I can still go the full length of the pages. So it could almost be like a traveler's notebook. Well, no, that's quite wide, isn't it? But whatever I make can only be about 1/4 inch thick. So I think I probably took about 15 pages out of here. So I think I can make a book of about 10 pages that I can put back in here. So it would have to live in this part where it doesn't interfere with these pages that we cut out. I can go back and maybe put 1 or 2 pages back in if I feel I have the room, that it doesn't take away from the spine. And to do that, I would just put a little bit of glue on this side and on the opposite page that's been cut out, and glue it back in. But it really, I really don't have a lot of room because you cannot go past the width of this book. So anything that you glue into that spine is just making the book go wider and wider because you're going right to the back of the spine. Does that work? So this one will be a little bit of a test to do. And so I will work on this one off camera and show you the results when I have it put together. The signature part, not the decorating. The decorating I will still leave for when we're working together. Now this one, as I said, I took out kept one page, took out 4. And, you know, I did make some exceptions here and there through the book. Where I kept 2 and took out 8, and vice versa. But so there is a lot of room in this book, but again, it can't have anything that interferes with that spine. So everything has to be from this side of the book, not that part of the book. So the alternative is to, and I've just done one for you so you can see, is to fold and glue from this side of the book. So when you open this up to this page, your page extends this way, but does not go past the spine because this is folded. But in saying that, you have to be careful with that too, because we do have to reinforce from both sides. I only did the one side to show you for now. It is glued down to the page, but when you open it up, it opens up full, so you can use the page. And I've reinforced it by adding some paper washi. I will go to the end of the page, but I wanted you to be able to see these before I glued it all the way. And so in saying that, you have to remember too that when you do this, yes, I've taken 4 pages out. Okay, in order to keep this page and build on this page, 4 pages came out. So, in gluing this down, I've added this little strip. That's equivalent to 1 page. I then added this little strip. That's equivalent to 2 pages because it's sitting on top, reinforcing this. So that's 2 pages by gluing this down and this down in thickness. And the fact that it folds over means that this folded piece is now the 3rd page. So when you go to fold this over, you don't want to fold on top of those 1, 2, 3 pages. Otherwise, you've added a 4th page, and that's all you can add every 5 pages is one of these. So you want to keep it within where it does not have an effect on the thickness. Is that making sense? You thought this was going to be easy, didn't you? You don't want it to affect the thickness because we've already got 1, 2, that long strip, and 3 thicknesses that we just put back in the book. So this part here is okay because it's falling into the middle of the book. So in the middle of the book, we only have 1, 2, because you got to count the 2 sides of that. And there's no other interference here. But if you want to be able to add something on top of here, you've got to take into consideration that that's another thickness. So even if I cover this with a book page or a page for writing, I have to consider where it falls here as to how many pages of thickness I'm getting that I'm adding onto this 1 page. So the thought process gets crazier as you put this together because you don't want to start off using every amount of possibility. Like if you've taken out 4 pages, you don't want to put 4 pages back in because you may want to have an envelope. Well, an envelope has a front and a back. And then if you put something in the envelope, that's already 3 thicknesses. Okay, so anything that you put down, you have to always be aware of how thick it is as to how much you can add in the book. So my suggestion is only extend a page every 2nd page that you have in the book first. and then do some basic decorating and, you know, make yourself some notes as to what you plan to add onto that page, and keeping in mind that you've got 4 thicknesses that you can add onto a page that are on top of each other. I hope I'm making sense. So again, I will do my book and show you further what I mean, and show you what the book looks like when it's completely closed. It's not to, again, say that you cannot, which I've done. I've slipped in a couple of pages extra because I knew that down here I'd taken quite a bit of bulk out, and hopefully I won't have too much pressure on this spine. And this one, I did check the spine, and there is a little bit of movement there, so I can add a few pages in, but I will be very careful what I add in. I would rather add it from the outside inwards than from the inside out, if that makes sense. So that's your work for this week. We are not even going to get into doing the spine and the book and putting the signatures together. Right now, you want to get all your pages done. I'm going to spend the rest of today and tomorrow working on all my pages for all 5 books, and hopefully I can work on these 2 books where I've cut the pages out so I can show you a little bit more and explain a little bit more. For those of you that did this method where you've cut the pages out instead of dissecting the whole book, you're just going to have to try and figure this out, or wait until I've done the next part, because it's a lot to take in for today. It's a lot to get done for one day. So I hope it's not too confusing for you. If you did do this, and if you do understand, then by all means go ahead and play. But yeah, that's it for the video for this week. It is technically Sunday, but I'm hoping to get them uploaded by Monday at the latest. You may see part 3 on Sunday, and then part 4 will come on Monday, but they will both be out by Monday afternoon. So the next part of the series is going to be putting the signatures in the book. For the books that we dissected. So that means rebuilding the book cover to accommodate the signatures and getting the signatures ready. Now, in these books, we will be doing what's called a hidden spine. So you will not see the signature spine on the outside of the book. Sorry, I gotta just grab my book. We will first build up and fix this spine on the inside so that it's ready to go. But you will not sew your signatures through this because that would show through on the outside. What we're going to do is we are going to sew the signature into a separate piece and then glue that down and cover it. So that'll be what we'll be doing next week on the 30th, I think, of January 30th is the Monday. So we will be putting the signature into the spine and getting our book ready to be decorated. And that leaves the outside of the book, as well as doing all the ephemera and decorating the pages inside. So we will be a few more weeks doing this yet, but trust me, these pages take a while to do. So if you're just starting them now, I'm sure it'll take you all week to work on this and get it ready to go. And then we'll take it from there. So I hope you enjoyed this. Please leave me some comments below to let me know that you're understanding things, or if you're having any problems with anything. If you are, by all means, send me a private message. I'm certainly happy to try to help you figure out how best to do your book and how best to proceed in your book. Some of you also have a specific theme that you want to do. So you may want to be printing out some, journal pages and stuff to add into your book. That's entirely up to you. You're on your own on that. And that's, you're definitely probably more experienced if you're at that level and you're printing your own pages to put in the books. So these are things that you want to consider. I like to try to use as much as I can of the book and then embellish afterwards. But, I do have the 2 books that I have to build some pages out separately by putting in signatures. So I may opt and go in the printables method for those ones. But that's, as I'm working on them this week, hopefully I'll figure out what best way to do it. But anyway, I'll leave you with that for today. You know what your homework is, and be ready to start working on our signatures, putting them together and putting them in the book for next week. Thank you very much for joining me today. I wish you all a very creative day and a creative week, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye for now.